I recall a while back some of you guys had brought up the Genki Shadowcast to me, and I immediately looked into it. This thing is supposed to be a dongle that you could plug in your consoles, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, pretty much anything that has an HDMI port for video out. You could plug this thing into, as it says up here, play on your laptop. Not just laptop, a PC, essentially. Play it on your PC or laptop. And I thought, how does that make any sense? This was, I believe, $40 through Kickstarter, and it's $50 now through pre-order. How could I justify that? Because I don't think I did a video on it, but I did buy one of these cheap $10 HDMI video capture devices. I figured this thing's like 10 bucks, this thing's like 40 to 50. This probably does exactly the same as each other. So how could I justify it, right? That's why I went ahead and bought it, because I'm familiar with the brand, Genki. I have some of their other products, and I think they do okay. But I just had to see, what is the use behind this thing, right? So let me go ahead and open this up. I do have this cheap dongle plugged into this Surface Pro 7, I believe it is, to kind of show latency in some things, because what would you want to use these for? It says to play your games on your laptop, essentially using your laptop as a screen. Kind of weird to me, like, okay, I guess there's some use with that, but other people may want to use something like this to capture footage, to stream with. And is this a viable solution versus something like that? If you're on a budget and you're not buying like an internal capture card that costs a few $100s or an external capture card from Elgato or AverMedia, are these options that make sense, right? So let me go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Console link, TV gaming on your computer, big deal, right? Record and stream, unlock new possibilities. You can use this as a cam link. That is pretty cool. None of my cameras will link to this, so I ain't really bothering with it. It gives you some basic instructions. There we go. USB-C to laptop. It's USB-C to USB-C, so you gotta make sure you have USB-C, mind you. But here we go. Show you this real quick, and then I'm gonna kind of test this out. The reason we're doing it this way instead of just capturing footage on a PC is because, hey, this thing says for a laptop, and you get to see like my reaction times with the controller and whatnot. So hopefully that kind of visualizes things better. I did get the yellow one, so there it is. Don't forget the cable. We do have a cable down here, USB-C with the little angle, Genki printed on there, or kind of embossed in there, whatever the hell it's called. It's molded into there, Genki. USB-C, USB-C. We're gonna need that in a moment. You also get this Shadowcast user manual. It's in multiple languages. This thing supports 4K 30 FPS or 1080 60 FPS. So there you go. USB output resolution up to 1080p 60 or 720 60. Color depth gives you all the information there, right? So can this thing seriously be used to stream, to play games, to record footage? What do I think? That's what we're gonna get into, right? So we got all that. Oh yeah, you get this like Metroid looking Genki thing, sticker, and then a Genki sticker logo, right? So we are gonna get this plugged in a moment. Now with this cheap dongle action that cost about $10, I've messed with it before. I do not use it for anything, to be honest with you, because it just doesn't serve my purpose as well. But let's go ahead. I have OBS running on here. We have that video capture device linked up. Let's go ahead and blow the screen up and start playing a little bit. Let me try to get this in view so you can see response times and whatnot. So with this HDMI dongle, if you're trying to play games, to be honest with you, it's near impossible. The latency is extremely bad. Now, I have had different results on my actual PC, my PC that I do video editing, that I stream on, that I play games on, that kind of thing. I've had, different, things happen there, a different experience with both of these devices. I'll explain in a moment. But yeah, it's just the latency is really bad. I think this thing, if you want to use this as like a cam link for like a webcam, it may be okay. If you want to use it just to capture some footage real quick for a video you're producing, it may be okay. But since both of these devices are simply just input to the computer, no additional outputs, you can't use this to have like two separate instances where one has the latency behind it because it's plugged in through the computer and then the other one's plugged directly into a TV or monitor. You don't have that. So for a setup like what I use, dual monitor setup, I can't really use this effectively with this latency. Sure, I could record on one screen and have it mirrored on another, but the latency is just pretty bad with this device. So, I mean, hopefully you got a good idea what you could use this thing for, but I feel like it's bad. It's bad. As far as like movement and latency, it just doesn't feel good to me. So we're gonna swap that out. And this thing does get hella hot. It's pretty bad, man. So this thing right here supports resolutions up to 4K. There's all the specs on it. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in one of these. They're not bad. I mean, if you're on a budget and you just need to capture some footage or use it as a cam link, okay, cool. I mean, it's cheap. Now we do have to remove this HDMI cable to use the Genki because the Genki, it's just USB-C. So we have the yellow Genki here. We're just gonna plug this into the dock. There we go. And then we also have to plug our USB-C into that. The Genki, mind you, I've used this quite a bit as well. And my thoughts have changed from my initial thoughts of it, but it gets hot as well, like crazy hot. Both of those devices get pretty molten feeling to me. USB-C, luckily we have one on here, but we're not gonna be using OBS at this time. Maybe we will in an instant here, but what I wanna show you is they do have this Genki Arcade frickin' application, right? So we bring that up, it should just bring the switch up immediately. And there we go. Very clean. So we do have this little cogwheel up here. We can go favored performance or favored resolution. I prefer, oh wow, it just swapped to my face on the screen. Why did it do that? Okay, let's go back to performance. That's strange. On my other PC, my main PC, it doesn't do that. That's weird. Favored resolution. Is it gonna bring up the camera again? Yeah. What's going on here, homie? That's weird. So that's got to be some kind of weird little glitch. We'll just go to favored performance. And just like this, the resolution's not going to look as good. Latency is pretty much on point. It might be a minor bit here, but compared to that cheap dongle, I could actually play games this way if I needed to, or if I seen a reason to. It feels a hell of a lot better, and on my main PC, the more powerful PC that's not essentially just a tablet, latency's almost nothing. Like, it seems normal to what it would be if I was just directly into a TV playing. But yeah, I think this looks very clean. I don't know why it's doing that webcam thing off of my screen when I go to the other thing, but yeah, that's interesting. So using their application, latency does not appear too bad. Now, if we exit out of this, we can use OBS. Come on, get out of there. And in OBS, I do have a video capture. I'm gonna change this cheap video capture instead of that cheap thing. We're gonna go to Shadowcast. And there we go. Go ahead and project that full screen and see if the latency is still good. Yeah, the latency is a little worse playing this through OBS, and it looks like we're getting some frame loss a bit. So I mean, I couldn't play this through OBS, just the way it is. But I mean, if you were to capture footage this way, it's fine. If you're gonna capture footage using the Genki Arcade app, like, you can't have both OBS and the Genki Arcade app open to display the footage, it won't sync to one or the other. So you have to kind of pick your poison there. If you use OBS to screen grab, you can have OBS open and do a display capture if your PC can handle display capture. Not every PC can, or not every graphics card can, but if we do display capture, as you see, I mean, it's kind of hard to demonstrate, but if you have, like, that's why I don't like using one monitor. It's almost impossible for me for video production or streaming and whatnot. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you could set it up that way. If you have 2 monitors or 1 monitor, you can kind of finagle it a little bit. But yeah, the latency with the Genki Arcade app feels fine, in my opinion. And on my main PC, the performance is even better. So I do like this device. I think it has its uses, it has its purposes. You know, if you're gonna be capturing footage or you wanna use it as a cam link, if you can, I mean, I can't, but if you wanna use it for that, if you wanna use it to record footage, stream, on a budget, don't have a capture card, this could be something worthwhile. Like, either or, I mean, has its pros and cons versus like a traditional capture card, like a good capture card. I think for the money I paid for this, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Everything else I bought from Genki I thought was okay, but I never used it. This I could see using on occasion, especially to just capture some footage here and there, or to, if I'm out like on vacation or something and I want to play the Switch on my laptop, I could do that, I guess, or go to Starbucks and sit down and, I don't know, there's uses for it. I'm gonna keep this thing, may come in handy. But there you go. If you have any questions on anything else with this device, let me know. Maybe I could do a follow-up, use it in a stream, and, you know, do all that good stuff. So hey guys, really do appreciate you hanging out with me. With that said, big ass thumb button in your face. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom. Bye.